The first CGI movie of the first novel written in English, The Pilgrim's Progress, plays in theaters this Easter. What started with a Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign with over 1,500 supporters has grown into the first ever computer-animated version of The Pilgrim's Progress, which plays in theaters on April 18 at 7 p.m. and April 20 at 12:55 p.m. Now, in 2019, The Pilgrim's Progress appears in the first ever CGI, computer-generated imagery, feature-length movie of the classic John Bunyan book. It will be showing this Easter week on April 18 at 7 p.m. and April 20 at 12:55 p.m. Theater locations and more information can be found at www.pilgrims.movie. While Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress has been in continuous publication since 1678, it also has crossed more than the arts and entertainment world since well before the birth of Hollywood. Classic stories that stand the test of time have the unique power to break down barriers of age, race, nationality, and language. Robert McCrum lists The Pilgrim's Progress as the #1 best novel of all time in an article on The Guardian. Video link. Influence is almost hidden in the shadows of our culture today. Vanity Fair is known as a magazine now or even as a book. But the roots go back to this classic, which has a strong scene in the movie. J. Carl Franson wrote an article claiming The Wizard of Oz has so many similarities to The Pilgrim's Progress that it was simply a recasting of Bunyan's work. The classic themes of moving to a better place and persistently facing internal and external struggles run through the work, which carried people by faith across the sea from England as it contributed to the American dream and its work ethic. In the book, Christian, the main character travels from the city of destruction through various trials and obstacles like Vanity Fair to reach the celestial city. Two presidents, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, considered the book as their second favorite book. Mark Twain references the book in his The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn as Huck shares, "I read considerable in it now and then. The statements was interesting, sick, but tough." Liam Neeson, Les Miserables, Taken, played the evangelist, a character in the book, to launch his movie career. So, for over 340 years The Pilgrim's Progress has been a seed to the freedoms, development, and growth of many around the world, even though Bunyan started the book behind bars. The book has been translated into 200 languages. Revelation Media has already targeted the first 20 languages for the CGI version, which will be recut with voices of native speakers. Already a Farsi version is completed, with work continuing for Spanish and Mandarin. It is an honor to be producing the first version of this classic masterpiece in CGI animation, and to share its truths in theater in the USA and around the world, said Steve Cleary, the executive producer. Cleary remains clear on his mission to share this with as many people as possible. Cat in the Mill Studios and Revelation Media, which worked together to create the film, even offer a free ebook version for those who leave their email at CGI version. Started with funding from the crowdsourcing platform Kickstarter, where over 1,500 individuals shared to help produce individual scenes to draw larger funding sources. The scenes completed were the Swamp of Despondency scene, a preliminary trailer, and others. The beginning of The Pilgrim's Progress book starts with the words of Christian, who finds a den, what we call a jail now. As I walked through the wilderness of this world, I lighted on a certain where was a den, and I laid me down in the place to sleep, and as I slept, I dreamed a dream. The Pilgrim's Progress is an allegory, meaning there are two stories going on, with one on the surface dealing with the characters and the plot, and the second having a deeper meaning. Some say it is an allegory of state repression. Historian E.P. Thompson describes the book as one of the foundation texts of the English working class movement. The beginning of the Pilgrim's Progress book starts with the words of Christian, who finds a den, what we call a prison now. As I walked through the wilderness of this world, I lighted on a certain where was a den, and I laid me down in the place to sleep, and as I slept, I dreamed a dream. Regardless of each reader's or viewer's final determination of the deeper meaning or how it affects their dreams, the opportunity to view the first ever CGI release of a classic over 340 years old isn't something which happens daily. And to think, it started with a few committed individuals willing to share the dream on a crowdfunding platform by giving this version of The Pilgrim's Progress a strong step toward its future, which can now be seen in theaters on April 18 at 7 p.m. and April 20 at 12:55 p.m.